Let's do it. Okay, so today, obviously, because I've been spamming you all and you know what I'm about, we're looking at cognitions posters, so get ready to have some action. You're going to be mostly doing activities, so you probably won't have heaps of time to take notes, and you can keep any of the resources that we play with today. So what are we doing? We're looking at the Dacabin Cognitions posters to use in the classroom and how you might be able to apply them through activities. Why? Because we want students to understand the explicit skills or the cognitions that we need them to know, and obviously because we want to become a high-performing school. How? Through the use of our school-developed resources, and you will see that there. Just want to make sure that I'm on record. Am I recording? I think I am.
How do you tell them?
Yeah, I think I am. That's a good time. We're good. Yeah. All right. So when we think about the posters, obviously they're related to Marzano's taxonomy to see that they're leveled. So we've got our red ones. And if you look at the hand on the posters, it's the lowest level cognition. So they're all mapped against different shapes and they're themed in that way. So square is the bottom level at our retrieval and comprehension. Then we've got our green circular posters, which is our analysis system, the cognitive system we're using through analysis. And then we've got our hexagonal purple set, which is our knowledge utilisation, our most complex looking shape. And so that's why we've chosen those shapes. On the posters, you've probably had a bit of a look at them. They've got our definition, the mental process, vocab that can be used, and sentence starters that you can use in the classroom as well. And on the back, you've got your graphic organisers that can be associated with that particular cognition. This relates to, if you've ever worked with Bloom's, it's quite easy to think about the levels of thinking. So we think about our comprehension and knowledge, that's our comprehension retrieval. Analysis and apply is in the analysis system, and in our posters we have analyse and apply as two separate ones. And then our synthesis and evaluation, and eventually creation, something new. Okay, how do you get to a new idea based on what you've analysed and evaluated? All right, so our first activity we are starting with today is our comprehension and retrieval, and that obviously sits in our lower two level systems. So what is direct instruction? So you have this piece of text that I'm going to give you. Using the mind map that was the one that I didn't print out, but that's okay because we're teachers, we've got whiteboard markers and we're going to use one of these. So what you're going to do, you're going to use the tree map. And I want you to identify direct key terms from the text that talk about what direct instruction is, okay? So I want you to use the tree map. I want you to have direct instruction up the top, and I want you to identify some key terms that tell you what direct instruction is, okay? And we're going to use a sentence stem to create a word summary, but don't do that just yet. So reading the text or skimming and scanning, and I want you to choose key terms. You can write it on paper or you can use a whiteboard marker and draw on the poster, whatever you would like to do. And I'll get you guys a poster.
So we're just using the tree map?
Yeah, we're using the tree map. So in the top, put direct instruction. Underneath, I want you to think about what are some key terms that help you, or identify some key terms that help you understand what direct instruction is.
So direct instruction.
I want you to identify some key terms.
About what direct instruction is.
Yeah, so what does it mean to you? Or as a pair, I want you to skim and scan and find the three terms or phrases that help you understand direct instruction the best. Okay? All right, what I need you to do now is, on the identify poster, you need to write, you can write it in your book first if you want, or you can write it under your graphic organiser, a 12-word summary about direct instruction. So what you're going to do is you're going to use one of these sentence starters. Okay, you have to use a sentence starter, and you have to use the terms that you've chosen, or you have to use at least one of them. So what you need to do is say something like, the information about direct instruction clearly shows that it is referring to introducing new material, or whatever it might be. You are going to, once you've got your 12-word or it doesn't have to be exactly 12, approximately 12, you're going to blow up your balloon and you're going to write your summary on the balloon, okay? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. The 12-word limit is really about, for when you're doing it with students, to make sure they can be concise and use the right terminology and use better words so they're not faffing about with, you know.
Like main idea and summary task.
Yeah.
And it says to summarise in 12 words or less.
Yeah.
That's great for the ASD kid who's like, but if there's 13 minutes, I've got to get rid of a word, it doesn't make, and I'm like, you can't get rid of a word, 13 will be fine. No, but it says 12 or less.
See, I've got 13. I can already see I could cut out new to make it, and it still makes sense. All right, once you're done, you all need to come and stand up the front with your balloon. All right, we have to stand in a circle, and you've got to throw the balloon around until I stop the music. Okay? Throw them around. You can to anyone. You heave them off the ground. All right. Oh, grab the one you've got in front of you. Oh, we lost one, but that's okay. All right, so we have to go around and read out our summaries.
Okay, direct instruction is represented as identifying, defining, and introducing new terms. Who did that?
That was us.
Good job.
I want to be in their group.
The information clearly shows 3 methods of direct instruction: chunking, processing, recording, and representing new information.
I'll be in that group.
What's your group?
I know.
It can be seen that direct instruction is used when introducing new information.
The information for direct instruction clearly shows a routine for less instruction.
Fabulous. Great. And that is also a brain break and an academic game and a summary of what they've learnt. You could do music, or you could just count down, whatever you want to do, like whatever's most applicable to your group. All right, next up we are looking at analysis, and we have our analysis level of thinking. So what we're going to do is you are going to get a picture. It's quite graphic, I'll warn you now. You might be offended by it, hopefully not, because we're all adults. And we're going to do an activity. So you're going to analyse the features of the image to figure out whether they are effective or non-effective. So you're going to use a SWOT analysis. So SWOT means strengths of the image, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So when we think about opportunities, we think about how it could be effective, what has the potential to be better, and threats. Could it offend someone? Is it going to be detrimental to a community or group? Is there a way that it's going to end up in a worse situation, or end up with worse situations occurring? Okay, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats around the effectiveness of how it sends a message. Okay, so we're going to be looking at it. I'm going to put it on the screen in a minute, and I'm going to come around and give you. So take a minute to have a look. I'm going to give you a copy of it in front of you as well. So if I was doing this with students, I would be giving them a fair amount of time and guiding them through this. So what I would be doing is having the image on the board, on the whiteboard, and we'd be going, okay, what can you see? What does that mean? Circle it, circle it, circle it, breaking it down to see that they can really understand what's going on. So what you are able to do if you want is get with your marker and go and start to circle things on there and help each other to point out some of the good, bad, interesting features of what you can see. So we're breaking it down to go, what's effective on this, what's not effective, okay? That's what we're thinking about at the moment. We're not yet thinking about evaluating it, we're just pointing out what is good and bad about it, basically. We're analysing all the features to understand it completely. I want you to share your best from each part of the chart. So your best weakness, or the thing that triggered with you the most as the most weak, the biggest threat, the biggest opportunity, and the most strong element. So we're going to go around and share.
I will go.
You ladies, you can go first. All right, so we're sticking with this similar activity, but now we're going to evaluate it. So we've just analysed the image for its different parts, and if I was doing this with a class, I would skip into evaluation, and this might go over a couple of lessons, because if the discussion was rich enough, we would continue on with that until I felt that the students really understood the message, really got to a good point of it. I might even stop it there and get them to write a reflection or a summary about what they had written in the graphic, and most likely I would get them to do a summary from that graphic, but because we've verbally summarised, we're going to now evaluate. And if your class is capable enough to do that and then write an evaluation, well, that's absolutely fine as well. So when we think about evaluating, we're now using the knowledge that we've gained about the image. So we've dissected it, we understand it, we're going to use our knowledge. So you've analysed the photo using a SWOT chart for its effective and non-effective parts. Using a decision-making chart, which is on the back here, okay? So you can use that decision-making chart, and I would either use my whiteboard marker or you can draw it in your book. You will now evaluate the message being sent by the image to decide whether it's effective or not. So I would be putting plus and minus things in there. You might just have 2 columns, plus and minus, to think about is it effective or is it not, okay? So using your copy of the image, come to a conclusion around the effectiveness of the image and annotate it. So I want you to annotate the picture with the effectiveness, and then I want you to come to a decision about it, okay? And then you're going to present it back to the group. So you've already annotated it really. What you're going to do now is write on the image, okay? Use your decision-making chart, which we've kind of already done, to come up with a conclusion. Decide, is it effective or is it not? And I would be using some of these sentence starters to write a sentence or a statement around the image underneath in your book about whether it's effective or not. The image is effective in sending the message about blah because blah. And then you would list your annotations, or you would talk about them verbally. So I don't expect you to write, but if it was a class, I would expect them to do another graphic organiser. I would expect them to write a summary about the image, either in a comparison paragraph and then come to a conclusion at the end, or just a straight persuasive paragraph listing their reasons to support their decision. Does that make sense? Okay. So if we have time, which I'm not sure that we will, I would then get my students to design a new image that's even more effective based on their findings. So I would have them with the picture discussing what they would change about it to create something new, because that's really the highest level of thinking. When you've concluded about it, they've decided whether it's effective or not. Even if it is effective, what could be done that's even better to make it even more effective? Or if it's not effective, how would you change it? What would you do? Does that make sense? So, task number 1. You're evaluating it. Yes or no, is it effective? Task number 2, you're coming to a conclusion and you are giving annotations on your sheet, and you're going to discuss how you've come to whether it's effective or not and some of your reasons why. Let's say 3 reasons to support your decision. All right, guys, we are going to stop there because it's 3:45. I want you all to leave. So we had some rich discussion there, guys. We're going to do a really quick exits ticket. And this is called a 1-minute paper. So grab your pen and I'm going to time you. You're going to have 1 minute. What are you? Yeah, I haven't told you yet what you're writing. All right, you're going to have 1 minute to respond to that question. Timer's on. How will I use cognitions explicitly in my classroom? Good job, everyone.